take the podium here. Yeah. Question 176 was asked by the Honorable Mokwele, and Minister, you have 5 minutes to respond.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair of the Ncop and all the honorable members of this august House. I'm very honored myself, I must start by saying, to be appearing in the Ncop for the first time during the 7th administration. Indeed, the Ncop is an important house. I do need to emphasize that. It's no number 2 to any other house. That's how it should be treated, as per our constitution. In response to the questions from the Honorable Mokwele, our Department of now, still written here, Science and Innovation, that's an old department. It's now the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation officially. We have established, we are very proud of having done this, the Indigenous Knowledge-Based Bioinnovation Program, a consortium on science councils, universities, indigenous knowledge holding organizations, and the business sector. The consortium utilizes South Africa's unique indigenous knowledge, its untapped biodiversity and local innovation capacity to develop African natural medicines, cosmeceuticals, nutraceuticals, health infusions, and enzyme technologies. I do need to say, Honorable Deputy Chairperson and honorable members, that South Africa is in the top 5 in terms of biodiversity in the world. But our scientists have only studied 5% of our plant species. 95% is not yet studied, which is the reason why we are emphasizing on this. And part of doing this is also to work with our herbalists, because they work with herbs, and by working with them, we hope that we'll be able to identify more products and species that are able to do a number of things. Also, I must say that the Indigenous Knowledge Bioinnovation Program that I'm talking about uses what we call an Ubuntu-based bioinnovation model that supports integral or multi- and transdisciplinary research and development, inclusive of innovation, local technology transfer, holistic enterprise development, and conscious commercialization. The full value chain, Honorable Chair, initiative had supported over 60 small, medium, and micro enterprises and cooperatives, including over 150 students and knowledge holders in business skills development. Our department also manages what is called the Research and Innovation pillar of the Hemp and Cannabis Industrialization Master Plan. The Medical Cannabis Consortium is conducting high-end research on cancers, diabetes, neurodegenerative diseases, hypertension, and selected infectious diseases like respiratory infections. The consortium currently supports up to 20 students focusing on various aspects and uses of the plant. Over 10 peer-reviewed journal articles, some impacting policy review at the South African Health Products Authority, have been published. Lastly, I want to say, Honorable Chair and honorable members, the African Legacy Program of the consortium has so far graduated, and I'm very proud of this, a total of 23 small, medium, and micro enterprises with over 46 products. An expression of interest has also been published by the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research and the Agricultural Research Council for a national pilot focusing on rural legacy growers working with local land races. The pilot, which supports at least 2 pilots per province, 24 germplasm and over 50 valorize medicinal cannabis are amongst the things that we are advancing in this regard. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chairperson of the Ncop.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and for your kind comments. We now go on to the follow-up questions. And Honorable Mokwele, do you have a follow-up question?
Thanks very much, Deputy Chair, and greetings to honorable members in this August House and even those that are on the visual platform. But also a special greeting to Honorable Minister, that indeed this House is the most important House of Parliament. Honorable Minister, also I would like to thank you for the extensive response that we have given in this regard. You nearly taken all my follow-up questions. But Honorable Minister, the only follow-up question that I want to pose to you is only one follow-up question, Honorable Minister, is to say, what role will the people in the rural provinces like Limpopo, your Eastern Cape, and KwaZulu Natal will play in the camp and canvas in the industrialization master plan? At this program, Minister, to be honest with you, that in most cases they are usually biased toward the urban areas. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Minister, your response, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mokwele. That's a very important question that you are asking. Because one of government's programs or across the board focus, which also we are seeking to support as the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, is to make sure that we grow and develop our rural areas. It's not as sustainable, this whole idea of people moving from rural areas to urban areas. We have a number of programs that at some other stage we'll be able to talk about that are focusing on rural development. We see the Cannabis Industrialization Master Plan, which of course is led by the Department of Agriculture, is leading in terms of growing this technology such that we are able to sustain rural economic development. By the way, I think the importance of your question also lies in the fact that it's not new, this issue of the role of hemp and cannabis, although in the past it was as dacha, that it has actually been playing a critical, hugely critical role in the rural development. Today, we've got medical practitioners, we have got engineers, you have got teachers, most of whom were supported usually by mothers who were planting this stuff and selling it, albeit under apartheid in particular, illegally, but they've been able to educate their own children. Now, we want this to be mainstreamed into this industry as part of rural development rather than as part of just urban development. As I've said, we've got what we call the African legacy growers, which we are supporting so that those with unique indigenous knowledge for medicine, nutrition, and industrial knowledge are able to be properly supported and strengthened with a view also of focusing on growing rural industry. We're working very closely with the Department of Agriculture to say, you are driving the master plan on cannabis, and we will be able to support you. And one of the most important things is actually to drive rural development. We also have the South African Health Product Regulatory Authority, which falls under the Department of Health. That is also responsible, by the way, for issuing permits, because even in the issuing of permits for planting cannabis, must take into account this whole issue of rural development. But I would not want to lie, perhaps, and as this House, we have a responsibility to make sure that that happens. We might also be needing, Honorable Deputy Chair, amendment to existing legislation so that we are able to ensure that we are actually able to support rural development rather than an urban bias. I grew up in a city called Pietermaritzburg where there was a lot of trade of this stuff. I know a lot about it. And it even has an unusual name. It's called Durban poison. Yeah. Partly because, not because it was grown in Durban, it was mainly sold in Durban. Now, maybe we need urban markets, but we must make sure that we focus on rural development because it's got a huge potential as it has been in the past. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair and Honorable Makwela.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I come from Durban, so I know what you're talking about. The next follow-up question is from the Honorable PJ Swat. Honorable Swat.
Honorable Deputy Chair, Honorable Minister, Minister, in the light of this very important discussion today on the economic potential of the indigenous biodiversity and knowledge, particularly following the legalization of medicinal marijuana, cannabis, how will your department ensure that the commercial benefits are not monopolized by large corporations? And what specific measures will be implemented to minimize red tape and encourage small and medium-sized enterprises, including the indigenous communities, to actively participate and benefit from the economic spin-offs of these industries? I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Minister, your response.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you to the member for the follow-up question. It's an important issue that we are raising, but I think it's implied already in what I've given as answers. And we are raising an important dimension now, not just of rural, but also the role of small and micro enterprises. Of course, this responsibility does not lie in my department alone, because the Department of Trade and Industry is very important, as well as the small business development. The ministry and the department are also very important in order to ensure that small and medium enterprises. Perhaps the advantage we have is that historically, trade in cannabis as marijuana was done by very small, not even enterprises, individuals sometimes, who were distributing this. I think that provides a basis for actually working to promote small and medium enterprises in this sector. And your point is absolutely important in the sense that once it gets taken over by big commercial entities, then we must forget it for actually focusing on rural. Big commercial entities are not interested in rural development. They are interested in urban, mass scale, and even export, you may find. That is what they prioritize. But as I'm saying, on our side, we are working with the Department of Small Business. We even have joint programs on innovation. We must start at that level of research and at that level of small scale to actually tighten this relationship. What am I saying? Going to be working closely with DTIC, which we are, and a number of projects. We are also going to be working very closely, which we are already, with the Minister of Small Business Development to ensure that we actually support this. Lastly, what I would like to say is that we also, by the way, have a program as the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, which may be important in terms of what we are raising, which is and a program which is called Grassroots Innovation. Because our belief is that innovation does not only come from the high end, your highly educated postdocs, professors, distinguished scientists. Yes, those do have a role to play, but there's lots of innovation at grassroots level. That's why we have this program, because we want to support that, so that right at that level, we are able to strengthen your small player, if you like, as we call them now. Those small players put together must actually become big players, but not as conglomerates, but by virtue of actually dominating this particular industry. That would be my answer to your question, and also by saying it's a very important matter and a very important focus. In fact, Ncop can make that its own specialization as a house to actually say who is benefiting from these programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. With the next follow-up question is from the Honorable M. Kennedy. Honorable Kennedy.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Greetings to members of this Honorable House and greetings to the Minister.
Could we please see your face, Honorable Kennedy?
Hey,
Put on your.
where I can, I'm unable to do that.
You can switch on your camera and we'll be able to see you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Honorable Kennedy, your time is running out.
Let me talk. I'm unable to do that. Honorable Minister.
All right. Okay, go ahead with your question.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Chair. Honorable Minister, medicinal plants and manufacturers pharmaceuticals rely on biodiversity, whilst indigenous knowledge is passed culturally and verbally from generation to generation. So, what initiatives have you taken to preserve this indigenous knowledge, and which project activities have been initiated to educationally support and develop the expansion of biodiversity and indigenous knowledge economically? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Minister, did you get the gist of the question? I know it wasn't too clear, but you may respond.
Try my best. I think I had the latter part better as to what initiatives are we engaged in to support indigenous knowledge system. Look, let me say this. We're very proud as South Africa that the work that we've done on indigenous knowledge system, firstly, we've got a major program in the department on indigenous knowledge. And also, as I have said, we're also working very closely, amongst others, with traditional healers. My father was a herbalist. I thought when he passed away, I'm done with that. But with this deployment, I find I'm now back working with herbalists, which I'm finding very exciting because I'm working with them now from another angle in order to be able to work together. As I say, we only have explored 5% of our plant species in South Africa. And we know that many of them actually use herbs and other plants. And if we work together, we are then able to say, let's take some of those plants for testing so that we are able to determine what are their properties, qualities, so that we are able to use them better. So that is the one thing that I've said in terms of practically. In fact, our work has been so acknowledged globally that UNESCO, the entity dealing with education, science, culture, and related matters, has actually established a chair on indigenous knowledge system, largely as a result of the prodding and the work that we are doing as South Africa. So it's become an internal. The other thing that I would like to say is that we've got a very close working relationship with the Chinese, because the Chinese are very good and they've taken a lead for quite some time now on exploring the uses of their own traditional medicines. So we have a project and a program of cooperation with the Chinese to learn from them. We don't have the same species of plants and so on, but to learn on them on actually how they do this. We also have got a professorial chair, if I'm not mistaken, which is what we call the South African Research Chairs Initiative, which is actually looking at this whole area of indigenous knowledge system. But we don't want only to treat that as a separate focus, because sometimes when you separate something, you then lower its importance. We want indigenous knowledge systems to be something that actually cuts across even our higher education system, for that matter. That is why we are actually promoting research and the chairs in that regard. Of course, I've already mentioned the other initiatives that we are taking on this score. One matter perhaps which I haven't mentioned so far in this question is that we have got an agency called the Technology Innovation Agency, which supports startups, commercially. And we are also looking at startups that may emerge out of the commercialization of knowledge that comes from indigenous knowledge system, so that we are able to support those initiatives such that they are able to become operational, they are able to become viable economic entities in line with the knowledge we have. I have no doubt, Chair, that as South Africa, we have got huge repository and reservoir of indigenous knowledge that we need to harness. What we've got to fight against is tendency from some people to tend to look down upon it. We shouldn't look down upon it, and we must learn from the Chinese, amongst others. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable colleagues, I've been informed that the Honorable Breed does not have a follow-up question. So we'll move on to the next question, that is question 189. Question 189 was asked by the Honorable J.M. Adriansa. And Minister, your response, please.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair of the House, for the question from Honorable Adriansa. My answer to that briefly is that some of the current key government initiatives that enhance funding and support for research and development include what I've just spoken about in my previous answer, the South African Research Chairs Initiative, and also what we call the Centers of Excellence that we support, which focus on particular areas, as well as the National Institutes for Research, Development, and Innovation. Key performance areas of these initiatives are research, human capacity development, information brokerage, networking, and service rendering. Furthermore, our decadal plan, which members will be aware is our 10-year plan 2022 to 2032 on science, technology, and innovation in South Africa, also emphasizing the importance of the research impact. To this end, our National Research Foundation, by the way, for purposes of clarity for those members who may not be aware, the National Research Foundation is one of our 8 entities. We have 8 entities. Interestingly enough, 40% of our budget goes to the National Research Foundation. It's the single largest spender of our budget. It has developed a research impact framework which ensures that research impact is considered during the early stages of proposal development and research planning, and influence the use of engaged, collaborative, and inclusive research processes to advance impact. By advancing research impact agenda, the relationship between science and society has been transformed through the co-creation of research, mutual benefit, and national development. But since this question is talking about funding and support for research, 2 things I would like to say further, in addition to the answers that I have actually given.